You've done a lot of canvassing as part of your campaign and trying to get in front of as many people as you can. As you talk to just average everyday residents in the city of Pittsburgh, what are some of the things that you're hearing that they're concerned about or frustrated about that you think that you'd be able to help as a member of the council?
So, public safety, homelessness, and on the homelessness, you hear the people that say, "Can't we just ship them out?" And then we hear the other side, "Why aren't there resources?" So when we say homelessness is a problem, it's a wide gamut of where people stand in that. So public safety, homelessness, and then lack of things to do. Now, I will say on the lack of things to do, there are a lot of great things to do here in Pittsburgh. We have parks, we do have youth sports, we do have other, social gatherings. Could there be more? Absolutely. But I don't want to give the impression that there's zero things to do here in Pittsburgh, because there are. One of the things that we have to work on is how are we, and when I say we, I'm going to put that in the frame of organizations who put on events, how are we communicating that to residents? There is, and Wolf, who's known to be doing everything on social media, there's an over reliance on social media to communicate. How do we help those that aren't online, predominantly our seniors, but not all of them? How do we help them feel like they still have a place here in Pittsburgh? How do we communicate with them? So that's one area that as a city council, how can we help organize organizations and maybe have a distribution point of information where people know there's one place they can go to find out what's going on in our city. Also, how do we communicate with the west side of Pittsburgh and make them aware of not only what's going on here, but that they're welcome to come? I've talked with quite a few people that feel like they're not welcome in Old Town because, well, that's for the Pittsburgh people. And I'm like, well, you live in Pittsburgh. And they're like, well, you know what I mean, Wolf. And I'm like, I don't. But then I started to realize what they meant. I was listening. So a lot of residents that live in the west side of Pittsburgh, they're going to Total Sounds Plaza, Concord, the Veranda to have their social experiences. How do we correct that? One thing that we can do is the process to put on an event in Pittsburgh is a challenge. It's an intimidating process. So is there a way that we can have different ways for somebody to have an approved event that's maybe not as challenging? So we need to work on that. The other thing is our parks. Our parks are wonderful, but there's some deferred maintenance. Finding out why is there deferred? Is it a money issue? Is it a human labor issue? Is it we're waiting to maybe redevelop them? I don't know. Those conversations usually had once you're on council, but we need to identify why why is there deferred maintenance? Why are people not going to the parks as much? People have talked about, well, I don't want to go to the parks because there's homeless people in the creek. Well, if you keep the parks activated, that the homeless tend to not congregate. I was asked by the Contra Costa Times about Motel 6, what I thought about Motel 6 now being converted to a homeless um, resource. And it's good on paper. What I'm not seeing is how are we addressing the needs of our homeless that are not at that facility. They just did the study, the census, and there's a tremendous amount of youth that are homeless. And they said that one of the leading causes, according to the Contra Costa County Census, was fights at home. And we're not talking like domestic violence. We mean just disagreements. How can we help with that? How can we help families become stronger here in Pittsburgh?
Right. I've heard you